Are you looking for inspiration on a daily basis? Then check out Deal to Heal Teas. With our inspirational teas, you're sure to find something to inspire you. That's dealtohealteas.com. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tea and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealteas.com. Again, that's dealtohealteas.com. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you'll enjoy the Girl Dad Discussion podcast. I'm your host, Ernest James, and I believe the relationship between a daughter and her father is one of the most important relationships a young lady can have. And therefore, my mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by sharing the voices of girl dads to the world. So check out our podcast on every platform where podcasts can be listened to. And if you want to watch the podcast, check us out on our YouTube channel. Again, that's the Girl Dad Discussions podcast with your host, Ernest James. Welcome to Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. On this podcast, my guest and I will discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can live a life that is happy, healthy, and whole. So I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to it. Welcome to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I am your host, Ernest James, and I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. If you haven't already, make sure you guys are checking us out on our YouTube channel, the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network, where you are not only find the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, but you also will find our partner podcast or sister podcast, I like to say, which is the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. On that podcast, I talk to other girl dads like myself about the daddy-daughter relationship in order to combat the narrative of the absent father and the fatherless daughter. So make sure you guys check us out again at the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, both of which are available on the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network on YouTube, as well as some other podcasts that we're working on that's also up and available right now. So make sure you guys go and check us out there. Also, as you guys know, we are a self-sustained podcast, and the way that we stay on the air is by bringing you amazing products for you to purchase. And our product of the week of this week is our Purpose Journal, as well as our Purpose Planner, because I believe we ought to journal in order to keep track of where we've been and where we are, as well as plan for our future. So you guys can get your copy of our Purpose Journal and our Purpose Planner on Amazon. The links will be in the description below. So make sure you guys check out the descriptions to get that information, as well as a lot of other information that is also available in the description that is there. So make sure you guys read whether you're listening to this on your listening platforms or you're watching it on YouTube. Make sure you go to the descriptions for that extra information. Also, make sure you do the big three: subscribe, like, and comment, and share too. I guess it's 4, right? so we know that you guys are listening. But today, just like any other day, we are blessed with the guest, Miss Michelle. How you doing?
I am doing wonderful. Excited to be here. How's your day going?
So far, so good. I can't complain. I definitely want to take out time to say thank you for being here with me and my listeners, because you could have been doing anything else with anyone else, but you're here with us, and we definitely appreciate it. So, Michelle, we're going to jump right in it. Do me a favor introduce yourself to my audience and tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Yeah, so my name is Michelle Taylor. I am 27 years old. I have three little girls, ages 2, 4, and 8. They definitely keep me busy. I speak full time. Currently, been in the real estate industry, and I have transitioned to speaking full time. And the main topics that I speak on is similar to what you speak on, of how you have to heal to fulfill and deal with your pain and all of that. So I came up with my RISE framework, which is like a systematic way of how you can raise your vibration in all areas of your life, mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, energetically. So I try to touch on all aspects of you so that, you can't say, oh, I can't do anything. Well, what area is that tied to? So that you can rise in that area. So, yeah, I'm excited to be here. It's definitely a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
All right, all right. Well, cool. Well, let's get right in, and then let's go back, Michelle, right? Because I want to pronounce it like you pronounce it.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's go back a little bit because you was talking about your framework and everything, but I always know that those of us that are uh, in this genre of work that we do as speakers and pouring into others and uplifting others, um, we there's a version of us that came as a result of something,
Hmm.
right? And so I always like to ask everyone to kind of go back and tell us who you were,
Yeah.
in your earlier times, and then what was that initial incident that happened to you that not only did you have to make it through that, but then once you made it through, what was the thing that kind of kicked you into gear to say, now that I've made it through this, now I'm going to spend my life helping others make it through as well.
Okay. Yeah. So the foundation of it all for me was at birth. I know that that sounds like crazy, but the day that I was born, I actually called my mom and I was asked her, because for a very long time I didn't know why I was adopted. I just knew that I was adopted. So I called my mom and asked her, like, what happened the day that you like gave birth to me? And she was like, well, I was in a crack house and I was smoking crack and my water broke and I called the ambulance and went to the hospital. But on the way out to the ambulance, I was hitting a crack pipe. And I'm just like trying to I like think of like what state of mind do you have to be in to do that? Like you're 9 months pregnant in labor. That just doesn't make any sense. So when I was born, my grandmother had to adopt me because of all the drugs that were in my system. I grew up with her, my younger brother, my younger sister, and my two older cousins. And I thought that she was my mom the entire time until I actually met my mom. And I was like, hold on, wait, who are you? And she's like, oh, I'm your mom. I'm like, wait, what? So I was like completely lost. I lived, we all five lived together with my grandmother and her boyfriend. And we kind of like were secluded in a way from all the rest of my family. So we still talked to them, but not like as much. So that was really all that I knew. So when I met my mom, it was like a surprise. And I'm like, okay, so do I got a dad? Like, what's going on? So my dad started trying to come around, but my grandmother was like, she was the strong willed Black woman that's like, oh no, you're not, like, you haven't been there, you should have been there, like you're not coming around now as long as I'm here. So she kind of blocked that. In 2009 she passed away. So when that happened, I had to go live with my mom, and she was a complete stranger. So I didn't know her. She was like still kind of on drugs, but not really, because she was in an alcohol and drug program trying to get herself together. But she just wasn't really like stable enough to take care
Mhm.
of me, my brother, and my sister. So we were going back and forth from my sister's house. My older sister, who I had also just met, I didn't even know I had an older sister. I found out like everything hit me when I was in the fifth grade. So I'm like, who are all of these people? Like children's services coming to my school asking me who's this, who's that. I'm like, I don't know. So that's when I actually met her, and we were like going back and forth living there. And then when my grandmother passed away, the oldest of us five, she got custody of the younger four when she turned 18. So at 12 years old, I was put in a position where I was a kid helping take responsibility of my two younger siblings because my older cousin had to work two jobs and she wasn't there. And then her brother, who she also took in, he was in high school. So he's like, I'm not about to be in a house with y'all. I'm about to, go live my life, and I'm playing sports. So I forget y'all. So it left me in a position where, I had to take the responsibility of them. Fast forward, I knew I needed something to keep me grounded because everything just hit me at once. Like I didn't get no therapy. I didn't get no counseling. Like,
Mm.
I just knew that my grandmother was no longer here, and I didn't even realize what death was at that point. So I started playing basketball just to try to like keep myself stabilized so that I don't spiral out of control, because I did see that like my younger sister, she just, pause for a second, like drugs and alcohol when you're born to like it have lifelong effects. And thank God I wasn't affected as badly as she was, and other people are affected, but it really affected her in so many different ways, on top of the abandonment and the neglect and all of that other stuff. So I had to, right state of mind for enough to play basketball. I told myself I was going to the WNBA. I worked as hard as I could. By my senior year, me and one other girl scored over 1,000 points, leaving a legacy at Briggs High School. I had a full ride scholarship to play basketball at Outervine. But 45 days before graduation, I was over my friend's house and taking a pregnancy test and found out that I was pregnant. Um, it was like my life just flashed before my eyes. I'm like, everything I just literally worked so hard for. Like I worked to get out of this position so that
Mm.
I can try to take care of my family, so I can try to bring money like in for my family. Because I remember we had to go knock doors and sell candy bars. Like we were out at 3 o'clock in the morning doing newspapers and stuff. I'm like 9, 10 years old. So I'm like, I got to do something. But when that happened, it was like a wake up call for me, because it's like, this is real life. Like one decision just changed it all for you. So what are you going to do? Are you going to let that decision throw you in the mud and kick you around like it did with your mom, or are you going to do better and try to create something out of this? So um, fast forward, I was a single parent for about 2 years. I met my boyfriend that I'm with now, and just going through everything that I went through, I realized that like I was living like in a depression my whole life. Like I was depressed
Mm.
my whole life and didn't even know that I was depressed. I was dealing with abandonment. I was dealing with neglect. I was dealing with all these emotions that I didn't know that was there. But after I had my daughter, it woke me up to like, something isn't right now. Like something mentally, emotionally is just not right with you. And you gotta figure it out, because if not, you're going to end up like your mom. And that's why I had to tell myself to really get out of it. Cause I'm like,
Mm.
the one thing that made her continue down this road was trauma. She never healed from her trauma. She never went back and tried to forgive that 15-year-old version of her. So that's pretty much what made me just drawn to wanting to help other people, because I realized that like when you don't actually properly heal, like I used to lie to myself, I used to be like, yeah, I'm good. Like I used to laugh about it. I used to make it seem like it's a joke just to try to cover it up and mask it, but deep down inside, it's like the scars was there, and it was a bloody mess. So I'm like, I can't just throw a band-aid on this. The band-aids ain't helping. Like I gotta
Mm.
actually go deep within and heal myself. But the thing is, I didn't have nobody that was like showing me how to do it. So I was like literally trying out as much different things as I can to be like, okay, what is working for me? And then, that's how Rise came about, because I started to document everything. Like this worked, this didn't work, this might work for you, it didn't
Mm.
work for me, but this is what it
Right.
is. So that's kind of how my framework all came together, just off of lived experiences.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And just so you know, I definitely shared that experience with you doing newspapers and selling candy. I used to sell candy like when you come out of the grocery store and the kids are standing out there. I did that for years. Here in Chicago, when you come off the off ramp,
Mhm.
of the expressway, and there'll be people that was there that was selling like peanuts and t-shirts and socks and all that stuff. I
Yeah.
did that for years as a young man, a teenager. My parents started us doing it young, and yeah, I did that for a long time. The only thing I enjoyed it because we was making money You know
Yeah.
what I mean? The only thing I wish is that my parents, even though we were kind of quote unquote entrepreneurs, my parents didn't have an entrepreneur. Uh, they didn't have entrepreneur education, should I say? You
Yeah.
know, we knew about buy, sell, wholesale. We knew that part of it, but not necessarily really being able to take advantage of the entrepreneur mindset.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I kind of regret about. I wish the things that I know now, I wish I knew then. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? We could have had a whole business and everything set up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do share that with you. But I want to talk a little bit because you were talking about, as you were going through these, experiences with your family, and to get to the space where you're like, okay, some things got to change. And in that space right then, I know that there's some things that have to change mentally with that, right? So we have to, those of us who have been in the space of personal development definitely understand, like, okay, this is a journey that you have to kind of start and kind of really like dive into yourself to really get to know who you are as a person, to be able to understand, like you were getting to what works and what didn't work. But even that, coming from that environment, to be able to change your mindset has to be a whole, process within itself. And so when you're just talking about, even that version of you to going through that process, how, what were some of the things that you used to kind of be able to reset your mind, you know what I mean? Or should I say reprogram your mind in order to be able to say, you know what, we're changing some things here and we're about to go on this new course.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a great question. So the first thing that I started to do is start studying the brain. Now I'm not a neurologist, like I ain't a brain expert, but I started studying the brain and how it works. And what I found is patterns, like different patterns ingrained within your mind. So I came across a article and it said that from the time that you're born to 7 years old, your brain is in a state called theta. And in this brainwave frequency, all it does is absorb information. It does not filter. It doesn't, like, it literally is like a sponge. So once I realized that, I'm like, hold on, wait. Let me think back from birth to 7. Like, what did I see? Because that became my new normal, and that becomes everybody's normal because their brain, that's just how your brain is developed. Like, that's how it works. And then I was like, okay, I saw crackheads, I saw drug dealers, I saw SWAT raids, I saw abandoned buildings. Like, that became my new normal. So when I saw a mansion or a nice neighborhood, I was like, hold on, wait, people out here making money? Like, what's going on? Like, I'm like, hold up, because this ain't what I saw. So I had
Right.
to get into a new environment. That was the first thing, because I had to see that it was more than what I saw growing up. And there was more to the world. So the first place that I went was Dallas. And I was down in Dallas, and I'm like, seeing all the big buildings and stuff. Like, we went downtown and stuff, but like we literally stayed on the west side of Columbus. Like, I barely saw outside of that environment. So when I got out of state and got into new environments, I stayed at a Airbnb and it was like 3,000 square feet. I'm like, what? Like, what is going on? So first I had to see that there's more to life than what I saw growing up. And I had to accept that, because that was hard, because I was so used to the struggle. I was so used to um, having to survive, and not, and being in this scarcity mindset, thinking that there was never enough. And then when I saw that there's more than enough, I'm like, okay, my mind is playing tricks on me right now. Okay, so I started to get into my mind, and I started to do figure out, like, how do you actually program it? Like, how do you get back into that state? So if your mind is just automatically in theta, then how do you get your brainwave into that state? So I started to meditate, because in meditation, you can calm your brainwaves frequencies down. You can actually tap into every brainwave frequency, like delta, alpha, theta, gamma. Like, you can tap into all of those through meditation. So I started to practice different ways to get my brainwave down or up into gamma. Like, I started to just experiment. So I'm like, okay, if I can get into the alpha state, I mean the theta state, and I can be in that state and I can create images in my mind and I can reprogram it in that sense and tell my brain and literally, because in your brain there's the conscious mind, there's a subconscious mind, and then there's the unconscious mind. You got to get past the conscious and the unconscious to get to the subconscious. So now once you get into the subconscious, that's where the hardwire is at. That's where your computer system is operating.
Mhm.
So it's like you got to get into that part of your brain and identify what's there first. You can't just get in there and say, oh, I'm going to just wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and then wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning if you don't set the intent to say, why am I not waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning? What is causing me? What patterns is my body, is my circadic system, I think that's what it's called, a circadic system, operating and flowing in this way where I'm even able to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like, so you got to get into different areas of your mind to really see like what is programmed there right now. And that's what I started to do. And I'm like, okay, let me just list off some of the main things. Money. When I think of money, do my body tense up? Yes. Okay, that's a problem. So now I'm starting to see that my mind is, when I hear these words, it triggers a certain emotion. So I'm like, what emotions do I feel when I think of money, or if I think of just anything? So I was like, okay, now I can operate from that space. Now when I go into my meditation, I can get into this state and I can think about it. And then now I think about money. I feel the emotion. I allow the emotion to process. And then I set with it. I honor the emotion. I tell it, hey, I see that you're there. I understand that at one point you had to be scarce. I understand that you, and I just talk to that version of me within my mind, and I reassure it that you don't have to be that anymore. Like, you don't have to allow that programming to run its course. And then every time I'm thinking about money or something like that, I automatically snap out of it and say, okay, let me honor it right now. I do have to be present. So you can't just do it one time and think that, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, we're good. My alarm clock went off. No, you got to keep reinforcing it, because that's how you got programmed in the first place, through reinforcement, through the repetition. You have to get in, not even, I'm trying to get out of the rhythm of saying have to. You get to reinforce it. Like,
Mhm.
you get to say, I want better for myself. Like, I don't want to keep living off of this programming. And then from there, you just identify like each of those triggers. And for me, I feel like if it triggers an emotion, then, and it's not an emotion of gratitude and grace, then that should be enough for you to say, okay, let me take a look at this. And that's what I started to do. And every time I felt emotion, like, I struggled with PTSD a very long time, and I'm like, let me look at these emotions, and if is these emotions charging this mindset, or is it depleting it? And from that space, I was able to, start to get in there through my meditations and things of that nature. So yes, your subconscious mind, it is a beast. And if you don't know how to operate it, somebody else is going to program it, and you're going to live off of that programming for the rest of your life if you don't properly take the steps to reprogram it.
Yeah, yeah, and I wanna dive a little into that too, because you mentioned about the subconscious and the conscious, and you also mentioned about frequency and energy and those things, and all of those things are inside of us, right? But it takes some getting, for us to try to doing some digging, definitely getting into personal development and those things to again really get to know yourself and realize what's within you. But in the way that I'm listening to you and you're talking about it, it's almost if you're finding out about these things and sort of becoming a teacher of it to yourself, pretty much. Like, all right, let me learn these things because I'm learning this about the brain and how it works. How important do you think that is for people to kind of master that inner person, or get to know that inner person, and then be able to master those things as far as the energy and the frequency and finding things out like that, especially those who have been through some type of trauma and they may find themselves stuck. It's like, okay, why am I still here? why am I still in this space? How important do you feel, as in your journey, how important has it been? And then how important do you believe it is to other people to kind of really start to dig in what those things that's on the inside, to be able to get them out of being unstuck?
Yes, yes, no, that is like the game changer for like humanity. Like, if everybody could really learn how to do that and willingly learn how to do it, like, I feel
Mhm.
like just this world would be a better place because they're mastering themselves, like their most authentic selves, not this self that they got a mask on, not this self that they're pretending, not this self that they have all these expectations for because of what somebody else, like they're mastering their authentic self. Like, it is extremely vital because I read a book, and it's called, I don't read so many books. It is called Inner Healing or something like that. I'm gonna have to tell you because I didn't read so many books, but it's, I believe it's called the Inner Healing, and she talks about time conglomerates. And basically, what she says is that whenever you experience something, it freezes in time, and every time you relive, like you experience that similar experience, it just reinforces it, and it hardens and hardens and hardens, and that's what creates the blockages, the emotional blockages. So that's why people are out here heartless, because there was a point in time where I was heartless. Like, I didn't care. Like, you got something to say, I got, like, what's up? Like, I don't care. I don't care what comes out of my mouth. But I had to realize that it's because I'm trying to protect a part of me that is stuck, and I don't want other people to see that I am stuck. So I got to defend myself in ways that I shouldn't even have to defend myself if I actually heal myself. So those
Mhm.
time conglomerates is like, let's say, at birth, the moment I came out, well, really, when I was in the womb, I was feeling abandoned and neglected. Before I would even breathe this air, those are the emotions that were like creating me and being built within me. And then once I came out and I start to validate it, and I'm like, oh, you're gonna leave me, and you're gonna leave me too. And if you come into my life, you're just gonna leave me too. Now I'm reinforcing that, and now I'm looking for people that's going to leave me subconsciously and unconsciously. So you don't even realize that you're bringing people in your life because you're trying to validate your emotion of abandonment, and you're trying to validate your emotion of feeling neglected. And you're just trying to, it's called trauma bonding. You're bonding with your trauma right now. So now you're bringing more circumstances and more people into your life just to make you feel comfortable about what happened in your past. But in reality, that's not going to make you feel better. That's not going to make you get any closer to who you were created to be. So it's really like, how do I unfreeze those time conglomerates? And what I found is that's why people don't want to do it. Like, you gotta go back and literally relive that but from a place of gratitude, from a place
Mhm.
of love, like from a place of honoring it and saying thank you so much for being this strong woman that got me through single parenting. But you can't run this boat no more. Okay, I need you to exit stage left because I got it now. But thank you for being strong and getting me through that stage. But most people don't want to do that because that means you have to face the trauma. That means you have to go back and forgive people that hurt you. That means you have to forgive yourself. That means, like, there's so much stuff that comes in along with that. But I feel like it is so important because that's how you can really see clearly the person that you were created to be. You're literally wearing a mask every single day when you wake up and pretend like you're healed when you're not really truly healed. You're projecting energy and you're projecting your emotions onto other people, but in reality, it's because you're not healed. So I honestly believe like it should be a course that you that you take in kindergarten, okay? Because these kindergartners is out here going through it, and if they had classes like that, they would realize that they are not their past, they're not what they're going through, they're not their experiences, and they will actually properly do the work on themselves. But a lot of people And some people do, some people don't. But like my mom, they get so stuck in the trauma that it's like replaying already. Like it's already replaying in your mind.
Mhm.
So instead of trying to act like it's not there, welcome it, honor it, embrace it. And that's the part that's hard, because when I had to go actually properly heal myself and I had to go back in time, like I felt my body shaking. Like I never felt my body shaking. I'm shaking because I'm literally releasing that stuck energy. And that's what you get to do on your healing journey. And it's so, you might be in a car crying for 4 hours, but hey, it's gonna be worth it. So
Mhm. Yeah, and sometimes that's just what you got to do. I mean, you have to face those fears, face those nightmares, should I say? Face your past and be able to kind of go through it and say, okay, what was I supposed to learn from this? Now that I've came through it, now that it happened to me, I can't take away the fact that it happened. But
yeah,
since it happened, what can I take away from it? What can I learn from it? What is the purpose behind me coming through this, experience? And once we started looking at it like that, and even looking for the gratitude in it, because there's one thing that I learned: there's a law called the law of polarity. And
yeah,
the law of polarity says there's nothing that's all good and there's nothing that's all bad, but
yeah,
it's good and bad in everything, right? And so you think about a coin, there's no such thing as a one-sided coin. There's two
yeah,
sides to it, even in some simple as a piece of bread. Like there's two sides to a piece of bread. You
yeah,
just can't have it, even if you cut it down the middle and say, okay, this is this side. Well, it still has another side to it. You know
yeah,
what I mean? And so there's good and bad in everything. And when we're able to look at our circumstances, even the worst of it, and say, this is the worst thing that ever happened to me. But now that it has happened, what can I take away from it that I can benefit from this experience? And when you start looking for the good in things, then you'll start seeing it everywhere. Even in the worst times, you'll be like, okay, yeah, this happened, but as a result of that, this also happened. You know what
yeah,
I mean? And so when we're able to do that and be able to see the goodness in even some of our worst times, we're able to start, changing our mindsets. And I want to talk about one of the things that you talk about in your that description of changing things. You say designing the life that you desire or something of that nature. And it
yeah.
kind of goes to what I've been preaching this year. I started maybe the end of last year,
Hmm.
coming into this space where I am, and that is living the life I love, right? And so I've been saying that all year, is like, okay, because I actually started taking the time to think about what is it that I really enjoy, right? What are the things that I really enjoy? And then say, okay, now that I've identified those things that I enjoy, how can I make sure that I'm making time for those things in my life,
Right.
right? Then I look at every area of my life and say, okay, if I'm not enjoying this particular area, what do
Hmm.
I need to change to make sure that I enjoy that too, right? And so that every area of my life, I'm making sure that I love it,
Yeah,
right? So, and that being said, I love the life that I live, right? And so that's the journey that I've been on this whole year. And so even in your description, which is it's definitely similar, what is sort of the process of getting to that point, where you said, like, listen, design the life that you want, because I mean it's your life,
yeah.
right? And then we can't necessarily change the past, but we can adjust our present to make way for the future that we deserve. So on that journey, how has that been for you? And then what are some of the things that you teach, the people that come to you and the people that you speak to help them be able to design the life that they desire?
Yeah, so I start with like self discovery, with really knowing who you are, because so many times you get into lines of work or business because of the money. And then you realize that it's not worth the money because you hate it. And then
Mhm.
now you not only hate the job, you hate your life, because now you got to wake up every day and do something that you hate. And then now you feel like a failure. So, really honing in on who are you? Like, why do you exist? And then find purpose in that. Because when you look at, like, for me, as like being in the real estate industry, I'm like, okay, I help people sell their house. No, I help people make life changing decisions in their, like, it's about your perspective. So you might not really like be fulfilled with doing it, but when you change your perspective and you change how you look at what it is that you're doing and how you're providing them with a service, then you find more meaning and purpose in what you're doing. So I like to start with like self-discovery to help people like first figure out who are you, what do you like, what are like some of the things that you're naturally just good at, like who are you at your core, like at the
Mhm.
most authentic version of you. What does that version of you look like? Let's go back to little old 5-year-old Michelle when you had no worries, no stress, no what did that version of you like doing? And then start creating a plan around that aspect of things. So let's say you like to draw or things like that. How can you monetize that? You're already drawing, like you're already making all of like this is your hobby right now. You're already doing it for free. How can you monetize it if this is something that you actually truly love to do? And if there is even a market for what you love to do, and if there is, then why don't you figure out how to put together a plan and a strategy to package it so that you can bring it to the marketplace and serve the people that need your product? I was talking to a eighth grader and she was crocheting like these pickles, and I'm just like, you like crocheting? She's like, yeah, anything that somebody likes, I'll just make it for them. I'm like, girl, that yarn ain't free. Like, I know you in the eighth grade, but you gotta you if this is what you love to do and you can get creative with it, and if imagine being able to crochet your life away and you wake up crocheting because that's what you love to do, and you're not only doing it on a small level but you're doing it on a nationwide level. So I take them through, when I talk to the students specifically, I take them through like a visualization. Like I like doing visualizations just across the board, but I find that like the youth, they like messing with their imagination. So I take them through a visualization. Close your eyes. Imagine waking up and doing what you love to do every single day. How would that feel? What would that look like? How would you outline your day? Like, and then once you start getting the sales or you build the foundation of it, imagine this clothing line not only being local but nationwide. Now it's international. This is a big deal. Like, imagine those feelings, embody those emotions, because really with self-discovery it's about embodying it and embodying that feeling of grace and gratitude and love for your own existence. And if you can figure out what it is that, like, why you exist and the things that you love to do in, in your life, and then you tie them all together and there's a market for it, then it's like turn that hobby into a business. Like you're already doing it for free, so why not get paid for it? So that's kind of the approach that I take, to help people realize that like you can actually make money behind doing some of the things that you're doing. Like I tell them all the time, yeah, if you got like a business idea, I bet you if you tell your mom I'll do some chores if you pay me $10 a week, she gonna pay you $40 a month. So you can use that as a way to start saving up money and investing in the things that you love so that you can create a business or start selling products, services, like whatever that is for you. But you must first
Mhm.
know why you exist. Why are you here? Who are you here to serve? Who are you here to honor? How can you provide value to those around you? Because I truly believe that that's why we're all here, is to uplift other people. I realized that through all the things that I went through, I used to be in a victim mindset. I'm like, why am I going through this? Why me? Why this? Why that? And I'm like, some things I'm gonna go through just so that I can help other people. I can't
Mhm.
speak on something that I ain't been through. I'm sorry. I just can't do that. I could tell you about all this other stuff, and yeah, this is amazing, blah, blah, blah. But if I haven't physically been through it, then I don't feel like the impact is as strong. So I honestly believe that's why we're all here, is to be a service to other people. But you can't do that if you don't really know who you are. And it starts with discovering who you are.
Yes, yeah, I love that. I love that, man. A secret about me, I always wanted to learn to crochet. Right, my sister, my oldest sister, when we were really young, she had got into it, and so she used to make, little hats and things of that nature. And I always just liked it, just like the two little sticks, and just like,
Yeah.
hey, how do you do that? And so I always wanted to learn. That's the first time share on the podcast. I don't think I've ever shared that in public, but I've always wanted to learn it just because I just thought that was so cool to be able to create something,
Yeah,
pretty much out of nothing because you got
yeah,
these two little sticks and a ball of yarn, and then you
yeah,
just twiddle away until next thing you know, now you have a whole something, whatever it is that you create.
yeah,
But yeah, I always thought that that was amazing, and I like the way that you approach even building, working on changing your life into the way that you want it to be. Like I said, with me, and the way that I say it is, living the life that I love. I really just sat down and thought about like what are the main parts of my life, right? The main categories that build up who I am. My finances, the job, my family, my faith, even my fitness. What are all those things,
yeah,
and what can I do different in each one of those spaces to make sure that I'm enjoying that space. So even with my fitness this year, I actually a couple of weeks ago I ran my first 5K. And that was a great achievement for me, and because I didn't even expect to do it, I just started running again, and I haven't probably ran in I don't know how long, since maybe about 10, 15 years, since I ran. But I started, just jogging or whatever, and realized, what, I think I really like this. And so I ended up doing my first 5K, and I already signed up for my second one, and so, but just ended up really paying attention to these different areas of your life and saying, okay, what can I change in this area to make sure that I'm loving this area now? So even with my family, like, all right, how can I spend more time with my family? How can I show them that I love them? So now that when I think about my family or when I'm with my family, I'm also enjoying that space.
yeah,
Even with my church family, just every aspect. And like you said, a big part of that when you get into different parts of it is how can you serve. I happen to be one of those people that, in the financial space, um, that people call when they need something,
yeah,
and I ain't saying that I have a whole lot, but I acknowledge that I am a person who likes to help. And so that's one of my prayers is that, God, I want to be a millionaire, and not that I want to be a millionaire for me because I'm good, but I
yeah,
want to be the millionaire for those that call me in need of help,
yeah,
financially, and even if it's just for a loan to help them get out of a space that they're in. I want to be able to do that, and so that means I have to have my finances in a certain space, but being able to find yourself in those different areas and find out, okay, in this area, what do I need to change in order to be able to live the life that I love, in order to design the life that I desire, however you want to say it. Like,
yeah,
your life is your own,
yeah.
and it's what you make it. So I really enjoy that. Michelle, I definitely have enjoyed you being on. Thank you for coming on the
I want
podcast.
to know one last thing.
No, no, we're not. I'm gonna give you another to say something else. I was just saying I thank you for being here.
Okay,
You
okay.
know what I'm saying? She's like, no, I got more to say. Oh,
Because you
well,
just
yeah.
reminded me, I do categorize it. So
Mhm,
I go, but I look at like self because
mhm,
it's in like I just like I got so tired of looking external and stuff. So I'm like, I gotta look internally. So I look at the emotional, the mental, the physical, the spiritual, and the energetic within yourself. Because if you can't master that within yourself, then you're pouring over here, you're pouring over there, you're trying to give to this, and then now you like you're empty. So
mhm,
now you're depleted. Now you're looking up and you're like, man, what just happened? That's because you didn't focus on yourself. You didn't focus on your physical mastery. You didn't focus on your mental mastery. You didn't wake up and honor your spiritual mastery. Like all of that, those I like to categorize them in that sense. And then yes, now that you're good there, you can now transfer that into other aspects of your living and your relationships because now you filled yourself up first. And now because I got to a point where I was like, I had 2 kids, naturally, home birth, no epidural,
mhm.
and went back to work 2 days later. And it's like, what is girl? You ain't superwoman, but you you doing some superwoman stuff. And I had to
Right.
realize, like, no, I gotta take care of me first so that I can be who I need to be for the world.
I love it. I love it. And one thing I do know, you were working on a book, right? Tell us a little bit about your book, and yeah, just tell us a little bit about the book that you've been working on.
Yeah, so it's called The Unknown, and it talks about the it more so focuses on like the energetic connections. So I go over a little bit of like the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual just briefly, but it's more so about the energetic connections and the things that you're not aware that you're connected to. So in this world, we're all interconnected in some type of way. And people refer to it as the matrix, the collective, the web, or whatever. But what I found is whatever collective of energy you're connected to, you're putting in and receiving from that field. So what I
Mhm.
had to realize is when I was connected to the energy frequency of poverty, I was putting in and receiving from that field. So I can't expect a life of abundance if I'm vibrating at a, let's say poverty is a 1. How can I get to my energy to vibrate at a 5 and be conscious of my energy rising to that level so that I can input into that field and receive from that field? So it talks about that at a very detailed level on how you can actually identify which field you're connected to, how you're responding to the field, how you're giving to the
Mhm.
field, what you're receiving from the field, who you're connected to in that field. Understanding that when you're in that field of poverty, it's not just you there all alone. You got to think of all the other people that's putting into that same field, their energy, their frequency, their vibration, and how as a result it's mirroring back to you in your life. So if you look up and you're like, I'm angry, yes, you might be angry because of the things that you're feeling emotionally, but what energy are you connected to that you don't know that you're connected to? And that's the thing, because everything in this world is energy.
Mhm.
Everything is connected through energy, frequency, and vibration. So if you don't know that, and if you don't know that there's can yep, we saw you, no, probably saw you walk out of that store with that and you ain't paid for it. Okay, you ain't nobody saw you, but guess what, you just aligned with that energy. And now guess what, you're going to receive from that same field that you aligned with. And that's what I teach in the book, is how to be conscious of those vibrations that you're emitting out into the field, because there's this huge quantum field, and there's of infinite numbers of quantum fields, and it's just, if you can decide which one you want to align with, and whatever you align with is what you give to and what you receive from. So if you hate your life, it's probably because you're feeding a field
Mhm.
that is causing you to hate your life, and you don't even know it. So I woke up one day and I was living a life I hated. I was on Section 8. I was on food stamps. I was living basically, I don't know how I was surviving, really. Student loans, all types of stuff. And I'm like, I woke up and I'm like, how did I get here? And I looked at everybody around me. They're all on food stamps. They're all on Section 8. They're all on this. And I'm like, how can I expect more out of life when everybody that I'm around is is receiving the same thing that I'm receiving, and they feel the same way that I'm feeling? And I thought that, oh, it's because of you and you and you. No, it's not because of that. It's because I chose to plug into that field. And I realized that it's the saying, if you got 5 broke friends, you're gonna be the sixth one,
Mhm.
isn't just a saying. It's because energy, like attracts like. So I didn't realize I was attracting, just like when you're dealing with trauma, you're going to attract broken people if you're not healed. And then you're going to wonder why. Why are you treating me this way? Because they just as broken as you is.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And so when the book comes available, we'll make sure that we put the links and information in the description under this episode, so that everyone can get to make sure that they get a copy of it. So, Michelle, again, I want to thank you so very much for being on, for coming on to share your story and your expertise. I want you to have the last word, and I want you to leave us with a word of inspiration, education, however you feel, and also leave us with your social media handles and where we can find you to work with you and be for those of us, the listeners who want to connect with you, where we can find you. So I'll give you a couple seconds to think about that. To my listeners, thank you guys for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Make sure you guys are checking us out on our website, thedealhealfulfill.org. Also, my new website, my speaker's website, which is Ernest James Speaks Life. Make sure you guys are also checking us out there. Again, that's Ernest James Speaks Life.com. Make sure you guys are checking us out there. And our main website, which is the dealhealfulfill.org. Make sure you're checking us out there as well. Also, make sure you guys go to ebooksbyejames.com. I've written several ebooks. One is called The Core Four, which is the core four values that every daughter should get from her father. That is available, as well as a male mentoring ebook called From Males to Men. And there's some other ebooks that I have available there that I've written that I think will be very beneficial for you to check out. So make sure you go to ebooksbyejames.com in order to check out, the ebooks that we have there. Also, deal2healtees.com, which is our inspirational t-shirt line. Make sure you guys go there and check that out. That's deal, the number two, heal tees.com, deal2healtees.com. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. That is our tagline. Make sure you guys go there to check out our inspirational tees, as well as our podcast merch, which is our t-shirts with our podcast logos on it. We have one for the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, and also one for this podcast, the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. So make sure, again, you go to deal2healtees.com to check out our inspirational t-shirt line. Last but not least, over the last couple of years, I've been blessed to be a part of an organization called the Forgiveness Mission. And what we do, we have free virtual workshops every other month talking about everything surrounding forgiveness, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others. We even talk about forgiveness of the world. So these workshops are absolutely free. They are virtual. They're absolutely free. So whenever you're listening to this, one just ended or there's one coming up. So make sure you guys go to forgivenessmission.com to sign up for our next free virtual workshop, forgiveness workshop, or you can go to Eventbrite and look up forgiveness workshop sponsored by the Forgiveness Mission in order to sign up for our next forgiveness workshop. The workshops are absolutely free, but the information is priceless. So make sure you guys go there again, forgivenessmission.com, in order to sign up for our next free virtual forgiveness workshop. All right, Miss Michelle, again, once again, I want to say thank you so very much for being on. I want you to have the last word, so the floor is yours.
Yes, so I actually did remember the name of the book. It's called Light Emerging by Barbara. So definitely highly recommend that. But parting words for me is, self-discovery isn't about becoming something new. It's about remembering who you are before the world told you who you should be or who you're supposed to be. So when you go within yourself, you're not trying to create something that's not already there. You're just remembering. You're remembering why you're here. You remember what your purpose is. You're remembering how you're supposed to impact others. So you don't really have to do a lot of work to discover that. It's just about setting it up in silence and honoring that sacred space and being with yourself long enough to accept who you are and not accepting that mask anymore. So always remember that you were created for a reason, that you are unique, and that nobody is like you. So remember that your mission and your assignment is for you and only you. And can't nobody take that away from you besides you. And as long as you remember who you are, then self discovery becomes self mastery. And once you master yourself, then you can actually reach that level of fulfillment and self actualization and reach the enlightenment stage that you really truly should desire to want to live.
All right, all right. What is your social media handles and your websites and things like that where we can follow you?
Yes, so you can find me on all platforms at Mama Michelle. Okay, I got that when I was on the basketball team. So they all looked up to me because I was the oldest. So they called me Mama Michelle, and so that just stuck. Even though I am a mama, I feel like I can be anybody's mama. But Mama Michelle on all social media platforms. And my website is michelletaylor.com.
All right, all right. So again, once again, I want to say thank you for being on. We can't end it no better than that. To my listeners, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, where our mission is to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Until next time, you guys be blessed. Thanks for listening to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Remember to listen, like, subscribe, and share. This episode has been brought to you by Deal to Heal Teas. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tea and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. Remember, our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for listening.